Tonight I'd like to share some thoughts with you about the state of our city, where we are as a community, and the immediate challenges that are directly in front of us. But before I do that, I'd like to express my thank you to the many people who work for the city, the department heads, and this council, all of whom contribute to this city. It's true that we have problems. It's true that not every day is easy. It's also true that there are a lot of people that go unrecognized, that give the very best of their efforts to make things happen. So I come before you tonight, palms up, ready to collaborate, and desirous of working together. I have no other agenda than restoring the city to its rightful luster. Let us begin by acknowledging that we face some challenges both as a community and as a city government. Some of those challenges we can't do a whole lot about. We can't change this nation's trade policies that actually subsidize the export of our manufacturing jobs. And we can't change the present impasse in Springfield. These are simply obstacles that we have to overcome on our journey forward. Likewise, anybody who's lived in Freeport for several years, including Mr. Carroll, they know that our city has changed. But so has Rockford, Danville, Galesburg, and a host of other cities and towns throughout Illinois who are fighting the very same problems. Manufacturing jobs, blight, loss of tax base. We're not alone. This storyline, ladies and gentlemen, is with us every day. We hear about it on TV. We hear about it on the radio. You can hear about it on the scanner. And let us not forget our friend social media. But you know, all the negative things that we see and observe and we're about is only part of the story. For every problem that we face, there are signs of progress that go unnoticed, unspoken of, and yes, unappreciated. So while we should remain mindful of the many things to be done, I think we should take notice of the signs of progress that are everywhere around us. A fresh wind is blowing through this city and is bringing some new signs of life with it. Those signs of life are citizen initiatives, the collaboration of taxing bodies, the expansion of manufacturing jobs, and yes, even expansion of retail. So let's talk about some of those things for a moment. 2 years ago, a small group of people anchored by the University of Illinois Extension Service began discussing food initiatives. This mushroomed into a grant application to USDA with the help of Black Hawk Hills. Today, we're on the threshold of launching Pretzel City Kitchens on the Stevens Market site downtown, thanks to the combined efforts of Black Hawk Hills, the Extension Service, Career Tech, Farm Bureau, Highland, and the city. Now, aside from the collaboration, this is an important moment. Why so? Because it brings together, in this one setting, business opportunities, culinary resources, and citizens in a setting where any food product can be tried, it can be perfected, and it can be marketed. Now, some months ago, a group of downtown devotees met together and came up with a plan for revitalizing downtown Freeport. You've heard about it. It's called City Center, and two of its authors are sitting in the back of this room. It proposes to leverage public funds in a variety of ways that provide local loan capital to willing building owners. And at the same time, City Center has been taking shape. Another group of citizens have been assembling more than $100,000 in financial commitments for community branding and marketing. You've heard of that too. It's called A5. And just a couple of weeks ago, a group of local residents began meeting together with the idea of bringing a new and bigger racetrack back to Freeport. They have some powerful backers, and one of our council members is deeply involved in that effort. And while these groups were sitting a new course economically, our police department and Larry Williams, who also happens to be with us tonight, along with interested citizens, have been pioneering a new residential outreach program called Conversations Over Pizza. It's new, it's novel, it's bringing people together. In fact, the Rockford newspaper editorialized positively about this very program and suggested that our much larger sister city ought to do the same. Now, it's true that 3 of these initiatives seek public funds. It's also true that there are some details to be worked out on that funding. But the central point is that new ideas are cropping up everywhere, all over the place. The few are becoming the many. So there's new evidence of progress. There's progress in our citizens. There's progress in our economy. Come with me in a short tour around Freeport. Right down the street from this very building is a long-standing Freeport company called First McNess. This company is reinventing itself and growing in surprising ways. And this company is growing by quantum leaps that measure success in millions of dollars, not thousands. Now the meaning of this is this is an old line Freeport company that used to sell animal feed products. And it is pioneered and it is headquartered right here in our very own city. And I don't think they have any intention of moving anywhere. Now just a little bit from First McNess, you all know about Mrs. Mike's potato chips and popcorn. That's right next door. But not many people know that in our same city, we have Snack King, a California-based company that acquired Vintners and has almost doubled the size of its Freeport facility and increased its workforce to 400 employees. It's tripled its output since 2011. 400 employees. People say that there's no job growth. There's some of it. Let's go north, way out of town, along a Folky Road. Anybody here been along a Folky Road? It's kind of an interesting little drive. Now, Folky itself, by the way, is a couple of churches, a couple of houses, and then this huge facility called Burner Food and Beverage. Burner Food and Beverage is undergoing a $700 million expansion that will add up to 280 jobs, with a further expansion of its warehouse plant in the very next phase. Now, I didn't misspeak here, ladies and gentlemen. This is not 70 million, which would have been very substantial. This is $700 million, making it a major player in food and beverage circles. Just this last week, on, I believe it was Saturday, the Helm Group announced plans for a new 12,000 square foot IT building. That building will cost over $1.4 million, and it will add 10 highly skilled jobs. Well, what's the significance of 10 jobs? What's the significance of $1 million expansion of civil? They're already here, right? They could have been welcome to be anywhere, but they stayed here and developing here and attracting their talent to stay here. So it's not just low-paying jobs that are in the agricultural sector that are in Freeport. Let's go west on the edge of this city. There are two major buildings under construction that will add to our already formidable senior facilities. Parkview expansion, I think most of you know about Parkview, and the swift partnership of the Monroe Clinic called Wind Prairie. These facilities will increase senior services and add up to 50 new employees while improving the city's economic base. Okay, so why do we care how many senior facilities there are in the city of Freeport? And why would we care about 50 jobs? Well, we got a major medical complex here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a baby boomer population that is increasing every day. Do you not think that providing senior housing and providing a center for people to come from all over northwestern Illinois is a positive and an additional development for this economy? I certainly do, and it has nothing to do with my age bracket, by the way. So the significance of these investments, I hope, is not lost on us. But these are just a few of the expansions that are going on. Let's talk for a moment about the retail sector. On the southern edge of the city, the Menards parking lot outlots are under construction. Just up the street, a little to the north, there's a new cake, cork, and liquor store. You can say, well, why a liquor store? That building has been empty for a long time. And that building is now filled with a tax-paying business. And yes, still further north is Dunkin' Donuts, under renovation where Sonic used to be. Now what I find ironic, besides the whole story of donuts and people, is that this one expansion seems to be the most popular expansion going on in the city of Freeport at the moment. So go figure. I like Dunkin' Donuts, don't make me wrong. $700 million to the north, I think that's a bigger deal. But not if you are a person who likes their morning coffee and donuts. There's action in the downtown as well. That includes a new art gallery coming where Merle Norman is located. The soon-to-open Wagner Center on Spring Street complements the Bill Green. This is on top of Eats and Sweets and the Hilldale Dairy Store that just opened, in locations that were under previous ownership. These, ladies and gentlemen, are in addition to Generations Brewery that opened last year, the renovation and renovated Joanne Fabric Shopping Center that is now filled and seeking suitors for its one remaining outlot. Now, if any one of these things was happening, you might call it blind luck or an aberration. But if you take all of these things together for a city our size, I think you have to conclude this is significant. The fact is, this city is moving ahead. The fact is that there are good things happening in this city, but it does not absolve us of our responsibilities as public officials. And in fact, I think it means we got to work even harder. The most basic task, as I see it, for us as elected officials, is to create a city government that provides city services efficiently, cost-effectively, and, perhaps most important, investing in the future. So to that end, I think, contrary to some of our critics, we've made some progress. Let's talk about that progress for a moment. First, this council and I have worked together to make economies in our budget. And I'm particularly proud of the fact that we've made changes in our healthcare plan to make it sustainable and affordable. And we've done that while holding the line in property taxes. Second, we've approved an $8.7 million water project that will improve our city's water infrastructure and increase water pressure. Third, we bit the bullet and made a decision on City Hall. And I hope that next year's State of the City will be from the Carnegie Building. Fourth, we've completed the Jane Addams Trail and added an important amenity to Freeport's quality of life and to our economy. And we've done that in a partnership with the Park District and with the county. Fifth, we've taken important steps to address neighborhood issues through code enforcement and stepped-up demolitions. Dangerous, abandoned, and vacant buildings are coming down. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know in this council, this is a necessary first step to improve our neighborhoods and also to improve our major street arteries. And finally, we've combated crime through our police department and citizens by using sound tactics and creating neighborhood partnerships. Our police force, our police department is young, it's collaborative, and it's effective. You can see those in the numbers that are coming in. The newspaper recently did a comparison between our crime statistics in similar categories in other cities of similar size. And I had no idea how this was going to come out when those interviews were conducted. Didn't know what facts and statistics they were going to use, and neither did the police chief. And yet, this source, as they compared it, said something good is happening in this city. Now, let's talk about the immediate road ahead for a moment. As we prepare for a new budget cycle, there are some major challenges confronting the city that cannot be avoided. The primary challenge, as I see it, is our tax base. We will start fiscal year 27 with close to $700,000 in new expenses that were not part of last year's general fund budget. And most of this is attributable to pensions. The city of Freeport has lost $45 million in equalized assessed valuation, our tax base, in the last 7 years. That means less money for city services, even at the same tax rate. Now the good news is, the facts, statistics, and best experts on this tell us that the industrial and business sector is improving. And they also tell us that probably it's bottomed out residentially and it will start growing. And these tax figures do not include all the many things that we've been talking about in this address. But it does not change our immediate task of what we confront in this forthcoming budget cycle. This loss of assessed valuation has a direct impact on our ability to pay our pension liabilities, and for the first time in Freeport's entire history, we will have to utilize our own general fund to pay annual pension assessments imposed by the state for the police pension, fire pension, and the IMRF system. So, I think our dilemma is simple. How do we balance our budget and still maintain vital services like police, fire, and streets? Now, if this wasn't challenge enough, we still have to make additional investments in our water and sewer infrastructure. Now picture this. We have spent close to $30 million in the last 7 years, but there's more to come. Water main breaks are becoming ever more frequent. We have an aging infrastructure that is wearing out. Right now, we are losing 25% of our water production each and every day, according to Mr. Glendenning. And he also tells me that we face an equally daunting issue with infiltration in the sanitary system. How we, this council and I, respond to this challenge will largely determine the quality of life and economic prospects for the city for decades to come. So finally, let us sharpen our economic focus as it relates to retail development and redevelopment. Why? Because you know, as I know, the retail tax base is the life force that fuels this city's ability to pay our bills. Our ability to retain our status as the largest single investor in economic development likewise depends upon our retail base. It spells the difference between city services that are properly funded and departments that cannot do what they're asked to do. And finally, if we needed any other impetus on retail, our retail base has even greater urgency because we have no idea what is in store for us at the state level. So here's my suggestion. Let us hold ourselves and our partners accountable for creating and publicizing an economic plan for all of our taxing districts and resources that sets priorities and funds those priorities. Let us seek the best help we can to find and develop the farm and fleet site, Eagles, and other vacant properties that are in high traffic areas. Let us revisit 26 and 20 as a site for development, and let us not accept the excuse that the land is not available right now. We don't have the water and sewer. Nobody is interested. We haven't found what we need. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that there's a fresh wind blowing across the city. And it's not only bringing spring rains, but new energy and new hope. I'm pleased that there is a new generation of community leaders that are joining the veterans in the cause of a better city. They're bringing new ideas, and they're bringing energy to that cause. They're building on the contributions of hundreds that have come before us, and all together, it makes for a better city. So I want to close by quoting the late British philosopher George Bernard Shaw. And I want to thank citizens like Stephen and Scott Winter, Brian Helm of the Helm Group, Amy Gerbaldus, Randy Skeens, and Bill Green, because these are the kind of new leaders and new persons who are not seeing things as they are and asking why. They're dreaming of things that never were and asking why not. They're asking why not a Freeport that's a tourist attraction like Galena? Why not a Freeport that is attracting new businesses and growing some of our own? Why not a Freeport that's redeveloping the downtown and the riverfront? We all may have different ways of getting there. In fact, there's some very vigorous debates going on with things like City Center of how to structure and how to make it happen. But the central tenet we're all in agreement on. And finally, why not a Freeport that is marketing itself and creating our own community brand? To me, this is an exciting time. We are the citizens, this council and I and all of us together. We are the citizens who, whether by chance or by design, who have been entrusted to help restore the city to prosperity. We not only get to touch the future, we get to help build it. I don't see this as a burden. I join you in seeing it as a calling. And I believe that if we lay aside our differences and we work together, we cannot help but succeed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, to me, is the state of the city. Thank you.